Hello, I'm James A. Zimoha. Welcome to Africa News. Let's see your headlines. Pope Leo XIV addressed thousands of worshippers in Angola on Sunday with a message focused on unity, faith, and rebuilding after years of division. Sudan's livestock sector is under pressure as ongoing civil war disrupts markets and threatens a key source of income for millions. And concerns over global trade routes are renewing focus on plans to link Morocco to Europe with a new transport alternative. Crowds gathered in Angola on Sunday as Pope Leo XIV visited the sanctuary of Mama Maxuma. He used the visit to call for unity, peace, and a more just society.
Pope Leo XIV on Sunday urged Angolans to overcome division and build a more just society, as tens of thousands gathered during a visit marked by both celebration and reflection. The Pope travelled to the sanctuary of Mama Maxuma, one of the country's most important Catholic pilgrimage sites, where around 30,000 worshippers assembled to pray the Rosary. Situated along the Kwanza River, the shrine is widely regarded as a place of comfort and spiritual healing. Addressing the crowd in Portuguese, Leo described the sanctuary as a place that has sustained generations through joy and sorrow and great suffering, underscoring its enduring role in Angola's religious life.
For the Mother of Heaven entrusts a great project to you as well, to build a better, welcoming world, where there is no more war, injustice, poverty or dishonesty, and where the principles of the gospel increasingly inspire and shape hearts, structures and programs for the good of all.
Earlier, Leo celebrated Mass before roughly 100,000 people in Calamba, near the capital Luanda. He described Angola as a beautiful yet wounded country, referencing its 27-year civil war, and called on citizens to move beyond past divisions. The visit to Angola marks the third leg of Pope Leo XIV's four-nation Africa tour, during which he has repeatedly called for peace, greater equality and global solidarity. The pontiff arrived in the Portuguese-speaking country on Saturday, after visits to Algeria and Cameroon. His tour will also include a stop in Equatorial Guinea.
Sudan's war, now in its fourth year, is devastating the country's livestock sector, a key source of income as markets collapse, food access worsens, and aid efforts struggle to keep pace.
Fighting in Sudan is severely affecting the country's livestock sector, a key source of income for millions, as the conflict enters its fourth year. Markets have shut down, disease risks are rising and costs are increasing, leaving herders struggling to survive.
Since the conflict broke out, many livestock markets have been forced to close, including this one. It's not safe for any customer to come here, so we are here to try to make it more convenient for the citizens.
According to the United Nations, nearly 29 million people are struggling to access sufficient food, while more than two-thirds of the population require humanitarian assistance.
We are targeting around 1.5 million households with agricultural inputs, in particular seeds, and also over 9 million, around 8.9 million livestock to be targeted for vaccination.
Efforts are underway to support farmers and herders. The Food and Agriculture Organization says it plans to deliver seeds to around 1.5 million households and vaccinate millions of animals this year, with support from China. The war, which began in April 2023 between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, has killed tens of thousands and displaced millions. But with fighting ongoing and the country divided, the crisis shows little sign of easing.
progress has been reported in efforts to ease the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo following talks between government representatives and the rebel group AFC. According to the U.S. Department, discussions held in Switzerland this week resulted in movement on a draft protocol covering humanitarian access, judicial protection, ceasefire oversight, and the release of prisoners. Both sides have also agreed to refrain from attacks on civilians and to allow humanitarian personnel and aid convoys to move more freely through affected areas. The agreement marks a step toward improving conditions on the ground, where ongoing violence has disrupted access to essential services and displaced larger numbers of people. While the progress is seen as significant, officials, however, say further negotiations will be needed to turn these commitments into lasting stability. Uganda and Rwanda are holding high-level talks aimed at strengthening cooperation after years of strained relations. With trade, security, and cross-border movement on the agenda, the discussions could shape the next phase of regional integration. A-News' Michael Balake has more.
The three-day meeting between the neighboring nations is focusing on key sectors including security, cross-border infrastructure, migration, and economic cooperation. A major part of the discussion is expected to center on improving transport links and border efficiency as both sides look to ease the movement of goods and people. Officials say the talks could lead to the signing of new agreements as Uganda and Rwanda work to deepen ties and strengthen regional integration with the East African community. Trade between the two is a major focus. Uganda exports far more to Rwanda than Kigali does to Kampala, more than $22 million worth of goods each month, compared to about $1 million in imports. That imbalance is likely to feature in the talks, alongside efforts to reduce trade barriers, improve custom processes, and unlock investment opportunities. The meeting also comes at a time when both countries are looking to sustain a period of improved relations, following years of tensions that affected cross-border trade and movement. The latest round follows earlier talks held in Rwanda in 2023, with officials now reviewing progress and setting a fresh roadmap for cooperation. For both countries, the outcome could shape both bilateral relations and wider regional integration efforts across East Africa. Michael Baleke for A-News in Kampala.
Travel disruptions linked to the Middle East conflict are hitting South Africa's tourism sector, with tour guides, hotel and travel agents reporting cancellations and a sharp drop in bookings from a key overseas market.
The US-Iran war, which has increased insecurity in Middle Eastern airspace, has consequently affected the tourism sector. In Cape Town, international tour guide Paul Reiters says the fallout has cut deeply into his business, which relies heavily on visitors from the Gulf region.
So in a normal season, about 60 to 80% of my bookings comes from the Middle Eastern clients. They're a key market for my business, especially for the high-end service like private transfers and guided tours, and they generally spend more time in Cape Town than your tourists coming from other parts of the world.
The slowdown extends across the broader tourism sector. Hotel operators in Cape Town say they are adjusting pricing strategies and shifting marketing efforts toward domestic travellers as international arrivals soften.
Yeah, I think particularly with the disruption with the flights and the cost of the flights inbound and domestically, we had to change tack with different hotels, focus more on domestic travel as opposed to international travel, and considering that the lead time is quite low, we had to consider that and adjust our pricing strategy accordingly.
At Cape Town International Airport, flights continue to arrive and depart, but travel companies report changing patterns with shorter lead times, cautious spending, and fewer premium leisure trips.
60% of affected passengers are opting for a refund. Majority of those are looking for a rebooking option and not just taking the refund back. And then the remaining 40% are keeping the credit on file to be utilised on those carriers at a future date.
The disruptions follow renewed regional instability, including attacks on energy facilities in Iran, which have heightened tensions and contributed to warnings affecting air routes. For Cape Town's tourism-dependent workforce, the uncertainty is weighing heavily.
The fragile US-Iran ceasefire has renewed focus towards Morocco's proposed undersea link with Europe, seen as a potential alternative trade corridor amid recent Middle East instability.
A temporary ceasefire between the United States and Iran is easing immediate pressure on global oil flows. But recent instability in the Strait of Hormuz has underlined how vulnerable global trade routes remain, reviving interest in alternative connections between Africa and Europe. For Africa, the impact is indirect but growing. Higher energy costs and continued global uncertainty are accelerating efforts to strengthen infrastructure and expand trade links with Europe. One of the most ambitious proposals is the long-discussed Morocco-Europe tunnel, which is now being framed as a strategic gateway project for the region. Recent economic reporting highlights expectations that it could significantly increase passenger traffic and strengthen Morocco's position as a key entry point between continents. Beyond freight and trade, the project is also expected to reshape tourism and mobility, making travel between Africa and Europe faster and more integrated. Transport experts say that an underwater link would not only carry economic weight, but also dramatically increase people-to-people movement across the region. Some investment analysts estimate the project could cost between 15 and 20 billion euros. They say improved connectivity between Spain and Morocco would help boost trade flows and streamline logistics between the two continents. The project is also being discussed in the context of major upcoming events, including the 2030 FIFA World Cup, hosted by Morocco, Spain and Portugal, where improved transport links could prove significant for the movement of goods, visitors and infrastructure support. As uncertainty continues to shape global supply chains, the Morocco-Europe tunnel is increasingly being positioned as a long-term infrastructure idea and potential strategic alternative for strengthening Africa-Europe connectivity.
Well, that's all we have today on Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.